And we are live June 15th. 2 more days of school, boys, for Kearney School District. Summer's here. But listen, we got a big show. Henry Zimmernoff, our good friend, right out of the gate. Okay, it's odd that you're doing today's show less than 30 minutes before the Stanley Cup final is underway, but I think the Avs will win the series in 5. I'm with them. I'm going Avs in 5 too. But look at this panel we got, baby.
I'm not.
Look at this panel we got. Mr. Siciliano, how are you?
Good. How's everybody doing tonight?
Everybody's good.
Great.
Mr. Carson Shear, the one and the only.
What's going on, guys? How we doing? Happy to be here.
Mr. Rosen with a new look.
Thank you, Kurt.
And a new sound.
Doing well. Looking forward to an action-packed show as usual.
I'm going to leave Mr. Kirkpatrick for late, but I'm going to say this, and we'll get into in a couple minutes, throughout the show and next week about what we're going to do going forward. But tomorrow night, 8 p.m., I am going to post a picture on our page, and I'll share it with all of you guys. You got to see what our man Joey Clams looked like last weekend. You talk about sharp, the suit, the shoes, the tie. I said to Jen, who is this guy? I mean, like a legend. Mr. Joey Clams, how are you?
Anybody see Richie? Anybody know why he did Bobby Lupo?
Joey, you look sharp, Joe.
Was Joey, were you being made?
That is.
Joey, you look sharp, baby. You look sharp.
What do you mean, Alley Ty?
And congratulations again on your daughter. What was it, Player of the Year?
Player of the Year, thank you.
Wow.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
That's great.
Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, how are you? Look what you started, a fad with everybody getting the headphones, with the headphones and the mic.
Yeah, it started. It's
Kenny, you're a trendsetter.
Congratulations. Echo those words. And Paul, shout out to your brother-in-law. I'm sorry, your son-in-law. Excuse me.
Yeah.
For hooking you up and getting your internet updated on something that you got, Comcast or Xfinity?
Xfinity. Yeah,
Xfinity
I know.
could not do. So big hats off to your son-in-law and congratulations on getting your internet straightened out.
If I can just quickly digress for 2 seconds, and a shout out to my beautiful daughter and my son-in-law who surprised us by coming down here and announcing that they just got married, which we didn't know about.
Wow.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Please say their names over the air if you don't mind. First names. You don't have to say their last names if you don't want to spread their last names. It's up to you.
Paulina and Kane is her husband.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
I wish I had an alcoholic drink, but I'll drink it with teeth.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Kirkpatrick. You're running this
All right,
tonight.
so yeah, we got Joey Clams with us. Unfortunately, we're New York area, most of us. Carson, the exception. Paul, you grew up in the New York area, but a lot of us followed the Rangers and were Ranger fans, wanted to see them do well, which they did. Unfortunately, they lost against the Lightning. The mighty Lightning are back in the finals, going for 3 in a row. So we got Joey Clams to help us out with some hockey talk, some Rangers recap, and we got some Stanley Cup Finals questions for you, Joe. So first of all, how are you, Joe? And what was your reaction when Rangers did lose Game 6? Were you heartbroken, or were you like, okay, we'll get them next year where we're ahead of schedule?
Yeah, it was a sin. You tie it up with under 5 minutes to go, and then they give it right back in 22 seconds.
Yeah.
The fatigue in their legs, and you seen how strong Tampa Bay was getting as the series going on with their mojo and their hockey legs coming back. The Rangers played I think 20 games in 40 days, and it caught up to them. And listen, our goalie kept us in. He tried everything. He made unbelievable saves. We just got outskated. We got outplayed, and you're not going to be able to win like that. You got to play two-way hockey. You can't play the game in your zone all game long and be on your back legs, skating backwards, then stopping. It's going to take a toll. And listen, that's why they're the champs. That's why they're going for their 3rd in a row. They've been a team for the last 7 years that's been a top team in the NHL, and game three was the big game. You're up 2-0 in the middle of the second period, and you gave it back. And once your legs go, you're never going to catch up again. And and they got a really great coach too, and they got a world class goalie, and they got a great player in Peter Stamkos. They got great leaders on that team, and you know what? They were the better team, and they won. We're young, and hopefully the future is bright. It looks bright, but you never know. You never know when you're going to get back there, or you never know when you're going to win.
Thanks, Joe. And I know Sis has a Ranger question. Does anybody else have a Ranger question so I know what order to go in?
I have a Ranger question for Joey.
So I'll go to Paul after Sis, and I got Stanley Cup questions. So if we got Stanley Cup questions, guys, I'll go to us after Sis and Paul, if that works. So we'll go to Sis first for his question.
Okay. What move would you like to see the Rangers make in the offseason?
I like to see them get bigger on the defensive side, and probably get another center. Try to get a guy like, remember Kenny brought it up last week, and Kenny, you see how important it is to win faceoffs. You got to get a faceoff guy. Somebody, even though, like I remember back in '94, we had McTavish. He was a centerman. He was unbelievable winning faceoffs. As soon as he would win the faceoff, he'd hop off the ice and somebody else would come on. We need a big centerman in front of the net, protect the goalie, and I say another centerman that can win faceoffs.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I know Joey knows this. 28 years ago yesterday, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. So just seems like yesterday, right, Clams?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. It was one of the best summers I ever had. We forget about it. We were going nuts. We went to the parade. We had like 30 people on the train going to the parade. We had coolers on the train. We went to O'Hara's Bar, Vesey Street afterwards, and then we went back to 77th Street and 16th Avenue in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, my friend Vinny's house. Oh, before that, we all met at Vinny's house in the morning. Roxanne, she was getting ready for work. People coming in to use the bathroom. She was going nuts. She was cursing. Everybody get out of my effing. I ran 2 barbecues. We had coolers of beer. And then we had the TV outside watching the Knick game. I had a rib in my mouth just on the bone with a Heineken. And I'm sitting back, and all of a sudden, here comes the white Bronco down the road. And go, juice, go.
All right. Oh, man.
Well, go ahead. Why don't you ask your Ranger question, and then we'll get into the Stanley Cup Finals, which starts in about roughly 20 minutes.
So Joey, I'm going to give you 4 names. They have a lot of free agents on the Rangers. I'm going to give you 4 names. You tell me if they should stay or they should move out. The first one, Ryan Strome, stay or move out.
Bye.
Andrew Cope, stay or move out.
Cobb, bye.
Yeah. Frank Vetrano.
Keep him.
Okay. And last one, Tyler Mott.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe you keep him. You know what the thing is, Paulie? There's a big salary cap in hockey, and it's really, it's a tough salary cap in hockey. So sometimes you get, there's guys that you just can't afford, and you need other things. It's really penny pinching with the salary cap in hockey. So it's really tough to hold on to guys that you need. You got to make it. You got to make a decision. Remember like Sophie's Choice? Sometimes down to that.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, Sis, and I know salary cap problems all too well with the Giants, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thanks. Carson, you got something for Paul? Stanley Cup,
just a quick
Rangers?
question. Yeah, for you, Joe. I guess if you could take one thing that you learned while watching this series for the Rangers, what would it be?
The sloppy. They're young and they're sloppy in their own zone with the puck. Instead of getting it out right away, they try to. They got to remember, the young kids, that this ain't the juniors where you got all day to skate. You'll get through it, and it's a faster game now in the NHL. If you get rid of the puck, get rid of it out of your zone and dump it deep, and then chase and get in the corner. Just be more consistent with the puck and protecting your goalie. And here's the biggest thing that I keep saying: get traffic in front of the net and look for the rebounds. The goalie Vasilevsky had too many open looks, and we didn't get too much pressure traffic in him, and there was a limited amount of rebounds for us, and that's it. That's what mostly that they'll learn. They're young. They're seven kids on that team that are under 22, so we'll be okay.
Thanks, Joe. Kurt, you got a Stanley Cup question?
I got a
Stanley Cup question for Joe, which will turn into a prediction as well. So
yeah, I'll start with this one, Joe. And again, honestly, I'm a little happy the Rangers. In a way, listen, I put a nice little future bet on the Avalanche. I hit that with winning the West, so I'm happy. And I didn't want to get it to be Avalanche Rangers because then it's like family, right? I'm a diehard Knick fan, diehard Bronco fan. So now it's like I'm all in on the Avalanche. I want them to blow Tampa Bay out. I'm sorry, Paul, but I want them to blow them out, right? So looking forward, though, everyone's talking about Colorado's offense versus Tampa Bay's defense. My question for you, Paul, is which team? Obviously, we know Colorado wants to score. Tampa Bay, best goalie in the world. They want to try to keep it lower. But if it's the opposite way, would you say Colorado has a better chance of winning the Stanley Cup in a low-scoring game, or Tampa Bay, if they have to go and start winning games, 5-4? Who would benefit the opposite more? Do you understand?
Are you asking?
I'm asking Joe. I'm asking Joe.
Joe.
I think Tampa Bay could play that game with Colorado, the up and down game. They got some scorers on that team. They got a big play in Peter Stamkos, and I think Tampa Bay's gonna shorten the ice. And Colorado coming into this Stanley Cup with a question mark on who's their goalie. There's no question mark in Tampa Bay. And you know what? Tampa Bay is hungry. They want this third cup. They want it 3 in a row. They want to be mentioned with Montreal, the Happy Times. They want to be mentioned with the Islanders of the 80s, the Edmonton Oilers of the mid 80s. They want to be up there. They want the recognition. They're hungry for this win. They got the experience and they got the better coach. I give them a good shot.
Okay.
Anybody else have a Stanley Cup? And if not, I can go into mine, which will lead into a prediction. All right, Joe, my question will be, Avalanche having over a week off, do you think they'll be stronger than ever, or do you think the Lightning will keep the momentum and their experience to surprise not only the Avalanche in Game 1, but the series?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to surprise them. Just like I said, Tampa Bay is a 2-time, Stanley Cup champion. I think, like you see, when Tampa Bay came into the Rangers series, they were really well rested, but they were rusty a little bit. And Avalanche had 9 days off, right, or plus. Tampa Bay had 3 days off. They're well rested for this game. They're getting healthier too. I like Tampa Bay tonight a lot. I don't know if they can win the series, but I like them really tonight in Game 1.
Get everybody's predictions on the series. I'll go first. I think the Lightning.
Kenny, you're mute. I can't hear you on your mic.
I think let's go everybody's predictions here. And I'm going to go start first. And I'm going to say the Lightning win it in a 7-game series, dramatic fashion. Vasilevsky will slow the Avalanche down enough to win the series in 7 games. Kurt.
You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I know I said something with Henry, but I'm going to take Colorado in 7. I think the home ice is big. Like you said, you're going against a great goalie, and we always say defense wins championship, and this guy's going to slow Colorado down, obviously. But I just think Colorado is the best team. And I think their combination of goalies is going to get done. I think the home ice matters, and I think in a Game 7 they won't be denied. And I think it's going to be a repeat. They beat the Devils in a Game 7, right, in Colorado. I think they're going to do it again, and I think I'll take Colorado in 7.
Oh, what's your prediction?
As you guys know, I've been tooting the Lightning's horn for a while now. I've seen them play the last 8-9 years I've been down here. There's just something about this organization that I've said to you, they remind me of the old Islanders, and they just have so many resources. As Joey eloquently said, Vasilevsky's the best goalie in the world. My prediction is they're going to win in 6. They don't get down. They don't take a game or two. We saw that with the Rangers. They're down 2-0, Game 3. And there's just some relentlessness. There's some aspect of who they are that they just know they're in every game. And I just think as good as Colorado has been this year, and without question, they've gone from, day one to the end of the season. There's just something about the Lightning that just says they're gonna win the 3rd straight Stanley Cup. And I'm going to win. I think they're going to win it in 6 games.
Kenny, real quick, Henry's saying of all the injuries the Avs have to overcome, it feels like Kadri needs to come back soon, and Kemper is back in the net for Game 1, so lots of clutch saves are required. Mary Lenny saying Lightning will 3-peat.
Yeah. Oh, let me just add one thing. Joey, I don't know if you saw this. Braden Point is supposed to be playing this first game, coming back to play the first game. So that's a big, big addition to Lightning.
Warm-ups, but he'll definitely be back for Game 2. He might be back tonight. That's a big thing. And are you going to get to me on my prediction?
Yeah. I'm just going to go to Carson and Sis first, and then we're going to end with your prediction, and then you got a golf play for us, Joe. So let's get Carson's prediction on the Stanley Cup Finals first.
Yeah, I think it's going to go Game 7. The Avalanche have kind of been the juggernaut all year long. I have to look up a stat in this, but I'm not sure how many teams have three-peated for the Stanley Cup. It'd be interesting to find out. But if they do, great props to them. But I just think Colorado has so much firepower, and I believe this is their year. So I'm going to go with the Avs in 7.
Kenny, real
Joe,
quick,
Joe, you might be able to answer that, Joe. Was it the Islanders? Do you know, Joe, was the last team to three-peat?
In a row, the Canadians won 4 or 5 in a row a couple of times.
So it'll be an elite company if they do it. So it'll be fun to see if they can do it.
Kenny, real quick, our good friend Keith Brugman. I don't think that Tampa has seen the shots on goal that Colorado produces. Avalanche in 6.
Keith, what's up, buddy? Check out Keith on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network Tuesday nights, 8:30, the Denver Bronco Roundup. He was with us a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun. Check out his show. Sis, let's get your prediction, and then we'll go to Joey Clams to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay, has the overall experience. Avalanche are good, but I see it going 7, and I see Tampa Bay winning 3 in a row. Yep.
And Joey, let's get your prediction on the Stanley Cup and give us a bet or two, and then a hockey play that you got for us. I'm sorry, a golf play that you got for us.
The team that stays out of the penalty box the most in the series is probably going to win because they both got great power plays, and with Vasilevsky in net, and the question mark between the pipes for the old Quebec Nordiques. Hey Keith, how you doing? That's the Quebec Nordiques team. The team that stays out of the penalty box is going to win the game, and I give the edge to Tampa Bay with the coaching. And their defense is really good. Their goalie is good. And Stamkos has got something to prove. He already said it. I'm going with Tampa Bay Lightning in 6. I like them a lot tonight. But I like the if you're going to bet them for the series, I would bet Vasilevsky to win the Conn Smythe. I think he's plus 4-1. And throw a little something on Stamkos. I think you could catch him around 14-1 to win the the most valuable player, the Conn Smythe to the Cup. If you like Tampa Bay, go that way. There's more value there. But I really Bay tonight in Game 1.
Good advice, Joe.
Can I just interject? The Islanders were the last team to win 3 straight Stanley Cups, or 4 straight, I guess, in their case.
Right. Thanks for looking that up, Paul. It's elite company if they can do it. There's not that many teams that have done it.
Kenny, real quick, couple comments. Leprechaun saying hi, Kenny.
What's up, Leprechaun?
Keith is saying thanks, boys. And
Absolutely,
Henry is
Keith.
saying the Avs have figured out this one Val guy in the past 3 games against Tampa Bay. A flurry of shots is going to be coming in hot for Colorado. Watch out for that.
Joe, give us your, you got a special golf play for us. Give us that and then your closing thoughts, Joe. And thank you for coming on again, as always, and giving us your Stanley Cup experience because, you know, me personally, I'm not experienced on hockey as much. So appreciate you coming on with us and discussing Stanley Cups with us.
The other night, I just shut it off. I don't watch them shake hands or get that trophy or anything. But for the golf, I like Sunjun Im, if I'm saying his name right. This is a perfect course for him. It's a shorter course. He's a good putter. And if you got $100, put 60 on him to win top 10, put 30 on him for top 5, and then you throw a little pizza money on the outright winner of $10 to win it all. You could grab him. It was 40 to 1. I grabbed him today at 36 to 1 outright. But get him.
Big play there by Joey Clams. Write that down, everybody.
Yeah.
Check on the name.
I can't write it down. I don't even know the name he said. How do you say it?
I.M. is his last name.
That's easy enough to remember the last name. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
We'll look that up, Joe.
But Arizona State.
Kenny, real quick, Joe, we got a question for Joe from Henry. By the way, Coach Breslin, what's up, boys? I want to see a three-peat. Very hard to do. Henry is asking, was the Avalanche favored, Joe, to win the Cup in the preseason? Because Tampa Bay was the last team to win the Cup when they were preseason favorites last season. History could always be on the Avs side anyway. Was Colorado the preseason favorites? Does anybody know, or was it Tampa Bay?
I think they were the favorite.
Okay.
I think Colorado was the favorite. I think Tampa Bay might have even been like the 3rd or 4th because it's so hard to three-peat.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Carolina was 2. Florida was up there.
Yeah, even Vegas might have been up there. I'm sure.
Yeah, they might.
Joey, thank you so much, Joe, for coming on. We will we'll catch up with you next week for sure, and then we got some news to spread around with everybody. But we'll catch up with you, Joe. Enjoy the game tonight, and good luck on that 36 to 1 shot. I am.
Yeah, and get them at 10 to 1. You know, say if you got $100 to throw around this weekend, $60 on 10 to 1, $30 on top 5 finish, and then $10 on win it all.
Sounds good, Joey.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank
See
you,
you, Joey.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Have a good one, Joey. Clams.
Take care, Joey.
The one and only.
The one and only Mr. Clams. Yep. He looked sharp the other day. I'm going to post that picture.
He looked sharp tonight.
Yeah, he always looks sharp.
He always looks sharp. Never
he's like the Pat Riley of our staff.
Right. I have a Pat Riley question later for you guys. So,
well, let's segue right into NBA since we just talked Pat Riley. We got the other finals going on, boys, and that's the NBA finals. And I got some topics to discuss with you guys. I'll throw it around, and then couple little player props like we did last week, and then a prediction on tomorrow's game, I should say. So the first topic I want to discuss is the NBA officiating so far in these finals. And I'll ask each of you like a question. I'm not going to go around the horn so we can catch up on time a little bit. So I'll go to Kurt first on this first question, and it's simple. Your thoughts on the officiating, Kurt, in the finals?
I mean, again, I'm fair. I think they're letting them play. I know a lot of people complain about Draymond Green and they should have threw him out in these games and all that stuff. And Coach Breslin saying Warriors in 6. What about Wiggins? But you know what? I'm not gonna. I think right now Golden State's the better team. It's 3-2. You don't see hundreds and hundreds of free throws, so I think it's okay right now. I really do. I'm not gonna complain about the officiating.
Does anybody disagree with Kurt?
No, I don't.
Okay, so let me ask Paul this question. Should the refs allow Draymond Green to constantly complain when getting called for a foul or not getting the call if he's, a charge or whatever, or continue to break the unwritten rules we call without calling a technical foul?
Listen,
it is getting a little frustrating in my opinion.
Yeah. Is he doing anything that he hasn't done in his whole career, whether it's regular season or playoffs. I mean, this is his personality. He's not changing at this point. Um, until he says the magic words, they're going to give him that much room to hang himself. But if he says the wrong thing and he knows how far he can push them, then he's going to get hit with technicals and probably tossed, which would be stupid and short-sighted for him and the Warriors.
Carson, did you want to add anything? I saw you nodding your head a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree kind of with Paul. Me watching Draymond my whole life, because he went to Michigan State. He's definitely I don't know what the word would be, a very passionate player, and he'll do it with his mouth and he'll do it with his play style in basketball too. So he's not afraid to speak his mind, that's for sure. But yeah, like Paul was saying, he's not going to change. He'll push the limits, but he's been in this league for I think almost 10 years, I want to say now. So he'll do his thing, and it makes good ratings and TV, and everybody likes to see it. Well, I mean, you hear the chants in the crowds, F you Draymond, and he loves it and he embraces it. So the more the merrier.
Kenny, Coach Breslin saying it is hard to officiate. He is a whiner. Tune him out.
I just feel like, you wouldn't see this, like Carson, you didn't grow up in the 90s, but we all did, guys. And I feel like a player like Draymond Green, if he did that to the referees in the 90s, instant technical foul.
Yeah.
Instant. And you wouldn't see it anymore because of 2 technical fouls, you're out of the game. I just feel the refs are letting the players get away with so much these days, and that might come from the top. The NBA itself. It probably comes from the NBA itself. But, Sis, what do you got? Any thoughts on it? You want to add anything? Like with Draymond Green? I know me and you watched the games.
I think Coach Breslin nailed it. He's a crybaby. I personally, don't like him as a player. He's selfish and he's self-centered. That's it.
You know who he reminds me of? Our good friend Charles Oakley. Oakley always felt he never committed a foul.
Yeah.
He was always whining to the refs. He was always complaining. Maybe Draymond is a little more talented than Oakley, but that's who he reminds me of. That style of play, that constant whining, getting everyone's face, and especially the refs.
I'm going to ask Carson this question from Keith, because it kind of goes, again, like he said, Michigan State fan, and he was a Piston fan. And Keith's asking Carson, is Draymond the new Dennis Rodman?
I think he has various traits of Rodman. I think Rodman was a whole entirely different animal as itself. He's kind of in his own species, if you call it. But I think Draymond is definitely entering his own style of Dennis Rodman for sure.
And then, Sis, I got a question from Coach Breslin. I'll go to you. Coach Breslin saying, here is a question. Does it impact kids' behavior or parents' behavior? That would be the biggest problem. I guess all the antics Draymond Green he's talking about.
Well, again, in my opinion, you're a professional athlete, and the way you carry yourself definitely affects the kids. There's absolutely, positively no question on my mind about it. It's like, again, before I ever became a high school or college coach, I really learned how to deal with parents and kids in the Little League, because I watched the way they acted, totally out of control, and everybody gets a trophy. Like, in the real world, it doesn't work like that. You have to learn how to lose. You have to learn how to win, and most importantly, you have to be a good sportsman. And I see this in professional sports. It's going like this Red Sea. It's going sideways. It's out of control, and that's because of all this money, all the I mean, you can't even see somebody make a 3-point shot without going to a dance.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're laughing, but you're right. It's
totally ridiculous.
And the craziest part, Sis, is they'll do that when they're down 19 points and they're still doing that.
We're all doing this. Yeah, it's again, I love sports, but it's getting to the point, it's really out of control, and there's not a lot of good role models left for these young kids nowadays. I mean, Aaron Judge, to me, he's a role model. You can say what you want about him as a baseball player, people can, but you know, the guy's straight up, man. He walks a straight line. I really like the way he handles himself, that kid. But anyway,
couple comments coming in. Coach Breslin saying, "I just want some lasagna and Tommy's, Kurt. Keep the trophy." Yep, because Coach Breslin and I got free dinner coming on. Hoops, we made, sis, just so you know, baseball, Ramapo. She had Montville. Ramapo beat Montville in the, I believe it was the state semifinal. So Jen has to buy us dinner at Tommy's Tavern. Keith is saying, Keith is saying, my pop Warner football team definitely learned how to lose. And Coach Breslin saying exactly right, Kurt. And I think he means like the guys dancing like Sis is saying when they're down 19 points.
Yeah, so. It's ridiculous. Again, and I think Kenny brought it up before real quick. Draymond Green should have been teed up like 6 times already, and they just, okay, Draymond, you can, go ahead, do what you got to do.
And Coach Coach Breslin saying he wants Sis's lasagna. He's still waiting.
Oh, it's good, guys. It's good.
So am I.
So there you go.
Mouth's watering thinking about it. I got another question, guys. I'll do this one since there's 4 of us. There's 5 of us, but I'll ask the question. So I'll ask this one for Paul and Kurt, and then the second one I'll ask Carson and Sis. Paul, what does Boston have to do offensively to beat Golden State tonight?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. I keep saying tonight. Tonight's Stanley Cup.
I think they gotta go in the paint. I think they gotta score more inside, and well, I mean on defense, obviously they've got to control and hope Stephon Curry.
Hold your defensive.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I read your mind.
That's going to be your question, guys. It's a little spoiled.
Sorry about that. All right. Go ahead.
Kurt, same question for you. What do they have to do offensively?
You know what? I just think, honestly, now, I just think it's got to be like stars versus stars. Like, I just think they got to tell Tatum, listen, you gotta go mano a mano with Curry, and same thing with Brown. Like Brown and Tatum you have to outplay. I mean, listen, what strategy are you really gonna have now? Seriously, it's like Tatum and Brown versus Clay and Curry, and your 2 stars have to. You can't look to like the 4th guy coming off the bench to win this series. Like to win the series, you need stars, right? Tatum and Brown have to outplay Curry and Clay in the next 2 games, or they're not going to win.
Fair enough. Let me go to Carson and Sis. Carson and Sis on this one. What do they have to do defensively to Celtics to beat Golden State tomorrow night? Carson?
I think they had their opportunity when Curry shot, 0 for 9 from 3. That was their golden opportunity to win Game 5, and they kind of let that slip away. I don't see Curry doing 0 for 9 in Game 6 when it's a winner-take-all game for the Warriors. So, they got to lock down Steph. Good luck trying to do that, and I really don't think he's going to have that kind of night again. And Wiggins was their X factor for the reason why the Warriors won Game 5. So I think you got to shut down Wiggins and force them to drive to the paint, because they can shoot the 3 lights out, and I think you got to take them to their offhand and play physical with them.
Great point there, Carson. Sis, anything you want to add defensively?
Yeah, I mean, Carson pretty much nailed it. Curry off the screen, shooting that 3. Maybe they need to double team him a little bit more, because he's a much better shooter than Klay Thompson. I mean, not taking nothing away from Klay Thompson, but Curry basically carries that team. I don't think Klay Thompson can carry the Warriors the way that Stephen Curry can carry the Warriors. So, but you can't take nothing away from the Warriors. They're good, man. They got a good team. We'll see.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, boys. I just hit the wrong button there. Almost cut myself off the screen there. Rapid fire question for the 4 of you, and then we'll do I got a couple player props and then our prediction for Game 6. Rapid fire question, Kurt. Scale of 1 to 10, overall rating on the finals, meaning How much have you enjoyed the finals so far?
Uh, 6.
Paul,
Yeah, I was going to say 5 or 6.
Carson.
Yeah, I think the first halves have been a 10. I mean, they've both been very competitive, but usually the first 5 games, it's like a team blows away and then just takes the game. So I would give it like a 7 overall.
And Sis,
Excuse me, say that again.
overall rating on the playoffs so far. If you like your rating, not your rating on how much you enjoyed watching the series so far on a scale of 1 to 10.
The hockey and the basketball, or just
No,
the
just
basketball?
the basketball.
I'll give it an 8.
I'm going to go a little lower. Carson said 7. I'm more on the 5, 6 range because I'm waiting for it, and I hope we see it either tomorrow or in Game 7. I want to see that last possession.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that.
Yeah.
It's like Carson said, the first halves have been great, but then the second halves, they turn into blowouts. Like I'm waiting for that thriller of a game in the fourth quarter where it's like last possession, chance to win it. Steph Curry or the big guys get the ball and you see them make the shot or miss the shot. That's what I want. So right now it's like on the 6 range for me. I'll do a couple player props for the bettors out there, and then we'll get our overall prediction. Let's do, and I talked to Kurt on this one, 3-pointers. Last week we did one on the 3-point field goals made, and Klay Thompson was 1.5 or 2.5, I think it was, and he hit that in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go again. Kurt, Klay Thompson, 2.5.
Hey, what do they call him? What did I say? Game 6 Clay or something? He's crazy in Game 6. So I'm always going over with him. Always.
That's an easy one. I'm going to go to Paul. Steph Curry, 4.5 3-pointers.
Way over 4.5 tonight. Tomorrow night.
I'll go to Carson. Andrew Wiggins,
over.
1.5.
Wiggins?
I'm going to give you Wiggins, 1.5.
Over.
I'm going to give Sis Jordan Poole 1.5.
Over.
Okay, let's go to the Celtics on 3-pointers. Kurt, I'm going to give you Jaylen Brown, 2.5.
I'll say over at home. Over.
I'm going to give Paul Jason Tatum, 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to say over 3.5.
I'm going to give Carson Marcus Smart, 2.5.
Over.
I'm going to switch over to assists for Sis. Smart, 3.5 assists. 5.5 assists, I'm sorry.
Under.
Okay, and let's go to points, and we'll end up with, and then we'll do predictions. Points for Celtics, Kurt. Jaylen Brown, 24.5.
Over.
Paul, Marcus Smart, 15.5.
Over.
Carson, Jason Tatum, 27.5.
Under.
Going to go to the Warriors. Steph Curry, Sis, 28.5 points, over under.
Over.
Kurt, Klay Thompson, 19.5.
Again, Game 6 Clay. Got to go over. Gotta.
If you're going to take the over in the 3-pointers, you got to take him in the over.
Gotta.
It's a double deuce right there. He's the best bet if you take him the over in the 3-pointers. Andrew Wiggins, 17.5, Paul.
No, I think it's going to be a little lower.
And I'm going to give Carson, his boy, Draymond Green, rebounds, 7.5.
Under. I think he gets 7.
Anybody got anything else basketball before we do our predictions? All right, let's change the order up a little bit. Sis, Game 6 prediction and score.
I'm going to say Boston 85 to 84. 1-point game.
Going to get the 1-point game that I've been waiting for. I hope so. Kurt, I'll go to you next.
Couple comments coming. We'll get to them in a second. I'm going to go with Sis. I'm going to go Boston at home. I'll say close game. I think Golden State, back and forth in the fourth quarter. You and Carson wanted that close game. I think you're going to get it. But I would say Boston by like 6, and then I think Golden State blows their doors off Father's Day night, in Game 7.
Carson, your prediction and score.
Yeah, I'm with the same with Kurt. I think Boston, they're looking at Jason Tatum. He's got to have one of the best games of his career tomorrow night. And if he doesn't, I think the Warriors are going to win it. So I'm going to go Boston 109 to 105.
Paul, your prediction and score.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like everyone else. Boston will win it. They'll go back to Golden State, and Golden State will win in 7 games. But tomorrow night, I think it'll be fairly close for the majority of the game, but Boston wins. I'll say 109 to 102, something like that.
And I'm going to clean sweep with the Celtics, but I'm going to go higher scoring because I don't think the Celtics are going to be able to stop Clay. He's going to shoot 4 or 5 3-pointers. Curry's going to have 5 or 6. Jordan Poole's going to have a couple. Wiggins. I think this is going to be like a 115-106 win by the Celtics. It goes to Game 7, and we'll see that thriller in Game 7. That's going to be my overall prediction.
Keith is
Curry, you
saying,
got a couple comments you want to read?
Yeah, Keith
and then
is saying,
I know you got a segment that you want to do real quick.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna do that for a minute. Keith is saying final score. He's joking. 157, 129. He's saying everyone's picking over. Coach Breslin's going 100 to 96. That's it for. I'll read the rest of the comments later, but that's it for NBA, right? I mean, I'm just gonna do something real quick, and I'll move my segment to next week. But I just want to ask you guys one thing, and then next week you guys can answer, right? Kenny, we'll save time. How's that? All right. So
that's fine. Whatever you want to do, Curry. We got time. I mean,
no, I'll be a minute. So
okay.
I've always been big, and you guys know me, I've been so big with the max contracts, right? Especially football and basketball because there's a salary cap, right? Baseball, it doesn't matter, but basketball and football with like just throwing people max contracts. And Game 3 last week, which was Friday night, I believe, right? Down 2-1, Golden State in Boston, okay? So on the road, you're paying the top guy in the league a max contract, Stephen Curry. And you look at him, and what does he do? 41 minutes, 14 for 26, 7 for 14 from three-pointers, 43 points, 4 assists, 10 rebounds. That's a max guy. You know, and we look around and we say Kristaps Porzingis, Tobias Harris, Julius Randle. Like, we're laughing with it, but like, and I've said it the same thing with football, but to me, like, there has to be tiers because, listen, as a Knicks fan, if we're paying Julius Randle, shouldn't we expect that, Paul? Shouldn't our max guy go do that? Right? Like, shouldn't Tobias Harris have game? Tobias Harris had like 4 shots in a playoff game. So for next week, tell me, am I right or am I wrong? But I'm sorry. Like, there's only 3 or 4 guys I'm paying max money. Steph Curry's a max money guy. LeBron max money. Durant max money. Greek Freak max. I don't know if anybody else I'm paying max money. I'm sorry.
I'm going to give Kurt homework right now. I'm going to give you some homework right now to do for the week. Why don't you write down a bunch of players and throw them out at us?
Okay, second.
And we'll tell you if they're a max player or not.
Okay,
Right.
well, I'm going to just give you, these guys are max money. John Wall.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah.
John Wall, Kenny, $46 million a year. John Wall.
Crazy.
Russell Westbrook, sis, making $47 million.
Again, it's the sky's the limit. You know, yeah, he deserves it like everybody else does. It's a joke.
James Harden, Carson, $47 million.
Oh boy. Nah. I mean, when he was at the Rockets, yes. On the Sixers, no.
Paul George, $42 million.
What has Paul George ever really done?
Exactly.
It's supply and demand.
But my whole point is like, and I wish Beelan was on the set because Beelan's always like, well, you know, you got to give him market. But what market value? Like, if you're paying James Harden that money, shouldn't James Harden do what Steph Curry did in a playoff game? Hey, you had a game 6. Go do it, win on the road, score 43, and get the victory. But if you can't say, well, he's not Steph Curry, well, then if he's not, don't pay him like Steph Curry. That's my complaint. Right to football. Russell Wilson, Mahomes, Rodgers, and Brady. Nobody else is close to that. I'm sorry. Like, you can't go and say, okay, Prescott and this guy. No, like, there's got to be those guys and then the next group and then the next group. You can't just say, because my contract's up, I got to get max money. I don't believe like that. And I'm sorry, Matthew Stafford, I'm putting in that group now. The max guy. He won a Super Bowl. Look what he did. I'm sorry, I can't pay somebody more money than guys that don't win. I can't do it. So that's what next week, Kenny, we can get into it, but that's it.
Kurt, you're absolutely 100% right. The only problem is if your team doesn't pay a Dak Prescott $40 million, somebody else will, and that's the problem. Do you lose who you perceive as, your quarterback or your, point guard or whoever? Somebody else is going to do it, and that's the craziness about sports nowadays.
But here's the thing, Kenny, and you know what? Like, and me and Kenny joke about this all the time, and we're diehard Knicks fans. And Kenny was from day one on the Julius Randle train. I wasn't. Kenny was. And you know what? Second team All NBA, yada yada. Right? So the Knicks signed him to a cheap contract. Listen, don't get me wrong. Julius Randle is a good NBA player. The problem, though, while everybody looks now and says, oh, he's terrible, is because of when he was making the cheap money and the Knicks signed him, wow, look, Julius Randle, hey, he's on my wall. But now, when he's almost a max guy, you want him to be Kevin Durant. I want him to be Steph Curry. That's why now, oh, nobody wants him because he's terrible. It's not that he's terrible at that money. That's what it is. He's not worth that money, so that's why he's considered now a bad contract and a bad player. But he's not a bad player in basketball. That's me. I mean, I don't know.
I know we're a few minutes behind, but why don't next week we do our homework? I'll pick a sport, you pick a sport. We'll throw some names at the guys, and we'll see if how well they think they deserve the money. Like,
good.
Should they get that money? What would you pay them? Well, I got a game. I thought of it right now. We'll come up with some guys. Dak Prescott, for example. What would you give him as a GM a year? And then we'll tell you what they're making.
But
we won't give you the obvious. Like, we'll just throw some names that you wouldn't know with their contract.
Okay, can I get 1 second, please?
Yeah.
I want to go rapid fire.
Let's do rapid fire because we are a little behind.
I'll start with Paul. Am I wrong to whatever team I am, if I'm paying max money to anybody on my team, am I wrong to say to that player, I expect you to do what Steph Curry did? Paul, am I wrong?
No, absolutely not.
Carson.
The problem.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
No. The problem is there's just certain guys that can rise to the occasion. No matter how much you're paying them, they're still dogs, and they don't rise to that level.
Carson, am I wrong to expect my max guy to be like that max guy?
No, you're completely right, Kurt. Especially kind of like what Paul was saying. If you're paying a guy max money, this is our franchise. We believe in you. Now I need you to go out and consistently, minimum, get to your conference finals. If you don't do that, you're not deserving max dollars at all.
Sis, am I wrong or you agree with me? My max guy should be what that max guy is.
Absolutely. No question about it.
And Kenny?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying. That type of player, if you got a defensive player, though, I expect you to be the leader of this team and put up these type of stats. Like, all joking aside, if you got a guy who's only averaging 15, but he's averaging 20 rebounds a game, you're not going to expect 40 points, but you're going to expect those 20 rebounds. So whatever your stat is, I get what you said. Yes, I'm going to expect you, but if you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to expect all the points that Steph's making.
No, not points, but
I'm expecting you to be an elite player in this league. And if I'm paying you max money, you better be a top 5 player.
But you know what? More importantly, what Carson said, You better win. You better get. I'm
Yeah.
going on your back, and you
Yep.
better get everybody on your back
Yeah.
and take us to a conference final.
It's really quickly, Kurt. It's funny you say this because the Pistons are the hot target right now to give DeAndre Ayton a max, and I don't want them to do it because I mean he was their third option on the Suns, but he isn't worth max contract. No way in hell.
Right.
You know?
No, it's a great point. And you know what it is? Like everybody loves him now, right? Because again, he's on the cheap, right? But when you're giving him max money, you're going to be like, oh, terrible contract. It's a terrible contract because it's not that he's a bad player, but he's not a max guy. He's not. Like
We're way behind, so maybe we should get into Sis's mind.
Okay.
We got Ryan coming up in a little bit. We still got Paul's quick hitter segment coming up too. So
okay.
why don't we get into what's on Sis's mind for this evening and continue the show? Unless somebody had something else they want to do, but let's save this for next week.
Yeah,
You know,
perfect.
Sounds good.
Good topic for next week. Sis, you're up.
Okay. This is for all of our participants, on our show. Starting to get a little concerned about the number of viewers we have, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody on the panel. I went back and I looked from last January to almost the present. We went from over having 200 people view us every week, and the numbers have really they have tailed off, and I'm really concerned about this. And my question to you guys is: Are we targeting the right audience each week? Do we need to get more feedback from our audience? Are we giving our audience what they really want to know? Most podcasts, as you guys all know, is all sports related. So we're not doing anything wrong, but we need to spice it up. So we're doing a little bit something different than the regular, sportscast people are doing, even the people on TV. Just a couple of thoughts to kick out there. Maybe we should, I know we're going to take a break, and I think during that break, maybe we should all, maybe go on another podcast show and see what they're doing. Get some different ideas. We just need to refresh this a little bit because we have too many people on here with an abundance of knowledge to not get back to having all those viewers on our show.
Coach Breslin's asking who starts wearing the funny clothes.
Or no clothes.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, Coach Breslin. Again, it's like everything else. If you keep doing something over and over, after a while, it gets a little played out. And again, I'm not blaming anybody in particular. I mean, I know like most of this program is put together by Kenny, and it's pretty hard for one person to do it by themselves. The other thing I think is hard, when we're talking to each other, nobody wants to listen to Paul all night. Nobody wants to listen to me all night. Nobody wants to listen to Kenny all night. Nobody wants to listen to Kurt or Carson. And I think that is a little bit affecting the show also, because it always seems like there's only one person always talking. And again, it's not a knock against anybody.
Keith is saying, and next news in the nude with Kenny.
Again, I'm trying to be serious here, but again, it's just people that I tag, people that I talk to. And again, I'm not bragging. I know a lot of people, and I get a lot of feedback that I've never shared on this show, which I'm not going to go into tonight.
Hey, sis, can I just interject something right
yeah,
now?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
I think this is a great topic that I'm glad you brought it up, but I think this isn't the forum the live podcast that we're doing isn't the forum, in my opinion, to discuss this. I think this is something that maybe we should discuss when we're having our meeting behind the scenes, that we can sort of be open and honest and sort of, um, uh, discuss and brainstorm ideas and things back and forth. That's my opinion. You guys can disagree, but that's
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Again, and you're right what you're saying. I just wanted to get it out there tonight so the people that are listening tonight
Mhm.
understand how much work goes into the show. People just call up Kenny and they want to jump on the show. Well, it's not that easy because you have a format. And I got, for example, I got you in one spot. He's got me in another. And I don't think it's fair that, we just we wing it like that. And again, I'm not embarrassed talking about this tonight because this is the type of person I am. I got nothing to hide. You brought up a great point. We'll go on. We'll go into more detail behind the scene, but I really think this needed to be addressed tonight. And I'm sorry if you don't feel that way, and I'm not mad at you, but this was my segment, and this is what I felt like doing.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, real quick. Manny DeLima, good evening, fellas. Hope all is well. Manny, I want to know who you pick. I know he's a big Ranger fan, Colorado or Tampa Bay. So let's see what his pick is. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No, sis, believe me, absolutely no disrespect. I think it's a great topic that I think is wonderful that you brought up. I think, in my mind, I'm also thinking about ways to try and generate more viewership and get the show going where I think we all wanted to go. So to bring it up now is a great thing, a fantastic thing. I appreciate the honesty and the forthwithness of you bringing it up, really. So don't get me wrong. I think it's.
I'm pretty much finished. Again, I just think that goes along with being respectful towards each other. Again, when somebody's talking, let that person finish. Don't be cutting people off. And again, the reason why I'm talking about this tonight, because I feel people are watching our show and they're coming on and then they're going, oh boy, same stuff. Okay, I'm not going to watch it. I really believe that's happening. So that's my spiel for tonight. Thanks for listening.
Guys, I'm going to bring in Brian. He's in the waiting room. We fell a little behind. Paul, you got a quick hitter segment, right?
Yeah, let's go with Ryan. I don't have a problem. You know me, I'm very flexible with a lot of stuff.
I'm sure he'll be down for that.
Real quick, Kenny, Manny, Colorado in 5. Colorado is too quick and a scoring machine, but Tampa has the best goalie in the league, so that can change things. So,
We got Stanley
Kenny, your
Cup,
mic. Can you just fix your mic, Kenny?
We got Stanley Cup and NBA going on at one time. You fall a little behind. So, Ryan, if you got a few minutes to hang out. By the way, how you doing, Ryan? Before I get into
Brian.
Hey, Ryan.
You got a few extra minutes to hang out. Paul's got a little quick hitter segment for us to answer, and you can play along with us if you have a few extra minutes.
That sounds fun.
All right, Paul,
Absolutely.
You're up with your segment. Paul's round table.
Okay. All right. We talked about a lot of stuff with the NBA and Stanley Cup final. So let's do Sis, Kurt, Kenny, Ryan, and Carson. Okay, if we can.
Just remember who you're after. I'm
Yeah.
after Sis. Just remember
All right.
who you're after, so we just answer quick and catch up a little bit.
Real quick,
Okay.
Colorado 1-0 over Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the update, Kurt. Yeah, well, just
All right.
remember who you're after, and we'll just do it like that, so there's no pauses, and Paul doesn't have to slow down a little bit.
Okay, if both the NBA Finals, Celtics and Warriors, and the Stanley Cup Final, Lightning and Avalanche, went to a Game 7, would you rather watch Game 7 of the NBA Finals or Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final? Sis?
Yes, sir. Me personally, yeah, the NBA, sure. Yeah. Yep.
Kenny?
Believe it or not, I'm going NHL. I'm excited with the playoffs in the NHL.
Yeah. Kurt.
Who's after me, Kurt?
You know what?
Kurt.
Usually 99% of the time I would tell you NBA, but again, Golden State, Boston, it doesn't really do anything to me. I'm really pulling for Colorado. So I'm going to take this year NHL Finals. Manny's saying Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. I'm going to go Game 7 Stanley Cup too.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, normally I would go with whoever I have a rooting interest for, but both of these series have teams. I have one team I don't like and one team I don't really care about. So I would kind of just probably pivot to NBA just because that's the sport that I follow more closely.
Okay.
But I'm very much hoping that Warriors beat Celtics and very much hoping that Avalanche beat Lightning.
Okay. Carson?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Kurt. Most of the time I would go NBA because that's the sport I know more about and I enjoy watching. But at the same time, Game 7 of Stanley Cup, there's something about it to where you can't really look away because everything's happening so fast all at once. And I think it depends on the score of the game, too. If it's a blowout, you're going to turn the channel. But if it's a tight, close and neck game, I think you turn to whoever's has the better competitive game.
Okay. I think I would go Lightning Avalanche, personally. Charles Barkley said of the Knicks, they're not close at all. They only have 2 or 3 guys who are NBA starters. They have a bunch of Jags, he calls them. Just a guy. Agree or disagree? Sis?
Excuse me, say that again.
I'll go first. You can
Okay.
repeat the question. Repeat the question, and I'll go first. I agree. There's nobody on the Knicks. I agree with Charles Barkley. Everything he said.
Charles Barkley just basically says the Knicks have these guys that are just guys. They only have 2 or 3 starters.
By the way,
on
it's
the
2-0
team.
Colorado over Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Quick.
They're not playing around, Paul.
Yeah, so I hear. Kurt?
You know what? It's sad to say. I agree with him. It's sad. It's sad, but he's right. He's absolutely right.
Sis?
Yep, I agree with Kurt just said, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Brian?
I'm not speaking from a place of bias here, but I just look at the Knicks and I'm just not seeing that they have the pieces that have been winning in the NBA the last few years, which is usually 1 or 2 superstars and good depth and role players. And I'm not really seeing those key guys that can take them over the hump right now.
Okay. Carson?
Yeah, I agree. There needs to be a star in New York, and I really feel like Westbrook could re-identify himself if he went to the Knicks. Same thing with Zion, and we talked about that before, but he's right. He's completely right. Julius Randle cannot be your franchise. You need something more than that.
Okay.
The
Amen.
Pistons are building
Yeah.
a nice little franchise. You're going to get a nice little player this year in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week we'll talk a little NBA draft, maybe
Yeah,
with Carson
sure.
a little bit.
Okay.
We'll get that. Give him a little play with the Pistons. Give him a little airtime.
Okay. Will the Yankees set the all-time win total in one season? Yes or no? Sis?
What is the win time? Oh,
100, 116 by the Mariners and by the 1906 Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. Sorry.
Kenny?
I'll agree with Sis, and I got a good Yankee question for Ryan when we get into baseball. So I'll hold my reasons for that.
Okay. Kurt?
No.
Ryan?
Yeah, I just can't. I can't. I would absolutely love it, obviously, but
Right.
something like that is. I think betting for that is just a losing proposition.
Okay. Carson?
No.
Okay. Pat Riley, at the age of 77, plans to stay in charge of the Miami Heat because, quote, he can do more push-ups than the reporters he was speaking with. I have a two-part question. My first question is, out of all of us, who can do the most push-ups? Sis?
Me, without a doubt.
Kenny?
Well, I would say Kurt, but I know he cheated on his diet. I know it ain't me, so I'm going to agree with Sis. If he said it's him, it's him.
Kurt.
I think I could give Sis a decent run for his money, but I think Sis will win.
Yeah. Ryan.
I got to go with either Carson or you, Paul. I think that I think you could definitely at least kick my tail. I don't know about anybody else.
And Carson.
Yeah, I think I'd go with whoever's the lightest out of all of us. So I'd probably go with Ryan.
And the second part of the question is, who could do more push-ups than Pat Riley? Sis?
Carson.
Kenny?
I'll go Paul. Paul can do more than Pat Riley. And guys will fight over who has the better tan.
Right. That's true. And I'll slick back my hair. So I'll be like
Pat Riley look-alike.
Right. Kurt?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Who could do more push-ups than Pat Riley out of all of us?
I'm going to still go Sis.
Okay.
Thank you, Kurt.
Ryan?
I got to still go Carson on this one. I think that if it's going to be anyone, I think it's going to be him.
Okay. I think I agree. Carson, who would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably see either Ryan or Sis.
Adam Sandler just came out with a new basketball movie, Hustle. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I saw it. It's great. Isn't
awesome.
it?
Awesome.
Isn't it a good
Jen
movie?
Watched it.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Which Adam Sandler movie is the best sports movie he's made? Happy Gilmore, Longest Yard, The Water Boy, or Home Team? Sis?
I would go Waterboy.
Kenny?
Close, but I'm going Happy Gilmore because that Bob Barker scene, that was it.
Kurt?
Waterboy.
Ryan?
I got to go Happy Gilmore on this one.
Carson?
Yeah, I think inspirational Waterboy. Funny laugh would be Happy Gilmore.
Okay. I agree. Happy Gilmore. What's the over-under of Yankees and Mets in the All-Star game? Yankees more than 4? Sis?
You mean as far as players to make it?
About as players, yeah.
I think the Mets will have more on the All-Star team than the Yankees.
Okay. Kenny?
Believe it or not, I'm going to go under 4. And I know I got a little all-star segment there, but just looking at the list I got here, that's why I'm going under 4.
Okay.
And you asked who would have more or over under for both of them. I'm sorry.
Over under for both of them.
Under for both. Under for both.
Okay.
I would say
under or at 4 for both.
Right, I would say over Mets. Sorry.
Really? Okay. Kurt?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under on both. That's if 4 is under 4, like if it's 4 and under, I'll take under on both. That's a lot.
Yeah. Ryan? Baseball expert?
I'll go under on both, although I do think just based on the track record, or not the track record, based on the way that the season has gone, I think it'd be the more likely team to reach 4, I think, would be the Yankees.
Great. Carson?
Well, I'm sorry, I was just going to ask if you have one more good one to give us, and then maybe you can save the rest for next week's show. We can do it.
Yeah.
We can continue with quick hitters next week.
No problem. Okay.
I think the Yankees and Mets, they both get 4 players.
Okay. Last question is a NBA question. These 4 franchises have made the NBA Finals 6 times in an 8-year period. Who's the greatest franchise? The Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls of the 90s, the Magic Johnson Lakers of the 80s, the Bill Russell Celtics of the late 50s and 60s, or the Stephon Curry Warriors of the 2010s into 2000 present? Sis?
Wow, you're reaching way back, man.
That's a good question.
to be honest with you, Carson wasn't even born. I'll go back to the Celtics in the in the 50s, late 60s, man. They were
Kenny?
dying.
I think I'm going to steal Kurt's thunder, but I'm going to be biased and say the Michael Jordan 90s because that's where I grew up. High school with Kurt, watching the Knicks. We were good, competing, and that team in the 90s. I think I'm just going to be biased, and people might disagree, but that's the generation I grew up with. So I'm going to go the Michael Jordan 90s.
Okay, Kurt?
Mary Lenny is saying the Bulls. I'm going to go with the Bulls, just like Kenny said. Listen, 6-0, right? When Jordan was there, they won 3. He went away, and they won 3 again. And listen, broke our hearts as Knicks fans. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go Bulls, man. They did it with so many different players. They never, add this guy, add that guy. Just they were who they were, and I'm going to go Bulls.
Okay, Ryan?
So the complicated part of it is that if you're gonna ask me, like, in terms of the dynasty, like you said, I would still take the Jordan Bulls, especially after having watched The Last Dance. I think that probably makes me a little bit biased. However, if you're asking me if you were just asking me by player, I think that Stephen Curry has had more impact on the game than any individual player.
Nice.
Tampa Bay scores. It's 2-1 Colorado.
Thanks for the update. And Carson?
Yeah, and Sis kind of mentioned it. I think people forget how great of a player Bill Russell was. I mean, he completely just dominated the game. The man has 11 rings. I mean, that is just unheard of. So I think the obvious answer for me, because I've seen them play, would be the Warriors, but I think greatest dynasty that not many people talk about is the Celtics back in the 50s and 60s. They were elite.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say the Celtics. Obviously, I'm older than everyone except Sis, but I understand why he would say the Celtics. Like you just said, Russell was a dominant player. Now, granted, I think in that era, I think they only played maybe 1 or 2 before they got to rounds before they got to the finals. Maybe not even. So it may be harder now. But you can't take anything away from 11 championships. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, what year were you born?
55.
Yeah, I got you by 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Paul, for the
Thanks.
For the Rosen's Roundtable Quick Hitters version. So we got Ryan with us again. Again, Ryan, welcome joining us this week. Always a pleasure having you on each and every week.
Appreciate it.
I think this week we're going to do a little rapid fire, quick hitter style questions at you. We're going to throw you in every direction. We keep you on your toes. I'm going to start off this week. I got a Yankee question that kind of came up in the thing there. And my Yankee question to you is, do you think the Yankees should and could they make a move for another starting pitcher by the trade deadline and go with a 6-man rotation, keeping their top 5 guys fresh, or having somebody come in as the 5th man and maybe using Montgomery as a 6th man? Because I'll give you the stats of these guys. I'll give you everybody's stats but Montgomery. I got Garrett Cole, 6-1, 3.3 ERA. Nestor Cortez, 5-2, 1.96 ERA. Luis Severino, 4-1, 2.8 ERA. Jameson Talon, 7-1, 2.9 ERA. And I think Montgomery is 2-1 with like a 3 ERA. So everybody's up there. Can they continue to do this in the second half? Or should they make a move maybe for somebody? And let me interject real quick one more. I wrote down a couple guys that may be available. Marcus Stroman, Luis Castillo, Frankie Montas, and Madison Bumgarner all may be sitting there at the deadline for the Yankees to make a move. What are your thoughts, Ryan? Do you think they can do that? Maybe a 6-man rotation?
They definitely could. Personally, if I were the Yankees, I might look at more increasing the depth of the bullpen to take more pressure off the starters as opposed to disrupting the rotation. Also, I'm sorry to say it, I am not a Marcus Stroman fan by any stretch of the imagination. I would not want the Yankees to go after him. I think that The name that you mentioned that I would probably have the most interest in is someone who I was interested in this offseason would be Frankie Montas. But that would depend on asking price and all that. But also just with how well they've been doing just with the parts they have, I'm almost reluctant to tinker too much with it because I just think that they have something that's clearly working so far. And, it's not just a hot start anymore. We're 60 games into the season. So if they were going to do anything, I would probably look more at the bullpen side of things so that, you're asking less out of your starting pitchers over the course of time. But in terms of actually expanding it to a 6-man rotation, changing the amount of days in between and all of that, I'm not sure that that's something that I would do.
Kenny, real quick, Tony Sanchez checking
Thanks,
in
Rob.
saying just shared you guys on my Facebook. What's up, Tony?
Tony, thanks for sharing. Good to hear from you. Hope you're doing well. Carson, let's go to you on throw something at Ryan.
Yeah, something different for you, Ryan. I know baseball, it was a very popular sport. It was America's pastime back in the day. And now with the whole strike that happened this year and players demanding more compensation, I mean, if you were the commissioner of baseball, what would you say or what would you implement into the game that would make it maybe more exciting? Maybe a rule change might take place, maybe cut the season a little bit because it's 162 games. If you had to make one change to the game that you think would bring more life back to the game of baseball, what would you say? Do you have any ideas of how you could make it more exciting?
So the issue that I have with the way that the current commissioner, who I'm not a fan of by any stretch, has been handling it, I understand the general philosophy behind his attention to pace of play. I just think he's going about it in all the wrong reasons, or in all the wrong methods, rather. The first thing, it's small, and it's not like anything earth-shattering that'll revolutionize the game by any stretch. First thing that I would do is I would get rid of the extra inning ghost runner rule. I think that that's a ridiculous rule that I've never understood the reason behind it. I think that the fans who are watching the game, I don't think that extra innings is what they're concerned about. I think that it's the fact that you can go up and make yourself a hot dog and a sandwich, but in between pitches. More than it is the fact that games can potentially go 3 to 3.5 hours. I don't think that that's as much of the concern as how when they say pace of play, I think of it in terms of more as how is the game progressing. So the mound visits, which I know they started to crack down. I know that they're trying to make the pitch clock a little bit, like actually enforce it a little bit better. Which I think that they're starting with a rule in the minors, which is if the pitch clock expires, it's an automatic ball. So those are the things that I would look at more than some of these just rules that I think are not geared toward actually addressing the problem, and I think are springing leaks in other places. I think that, I think that the whole shift, talking about restricting the shift, I think could end up, so that there's more offense in the game. That could potentially help, and when I say more offense, I mean actual more offense, not just 500-foot home runs, but doubles, triples. I think one of the most underrated things in baseball is a triple. Just watching someone have to, you have to hit it in just the right spot, then you have to be able to leg it out. I think that that's one of the more underrated parts of baseball. So that's kind of where I would put my focus. I think that another thing that it's not something that I particularly see this way, but I think that there's other people who could. I think that some of the approach to marketing and to things like the facial hair policies, I think those are things that some of the younger people look at and they're like, why is it like why are the stars not marketed? Very few people outside of baseball fans would know who Mike Trout is, and Mike Trout might be the greatest player of all time. I think that the marketing of MLB stars has just not been great, especially if they're not on the Dodgers or the Yankees. And I think that there's a lot of people who would say, well, it's an expression thing to not have, the facial hair policy and whatnot. Again, as a Yankees fan, I don't really have a strong feeling about the facial hair policy, but I think that that's something that some young fans are looking at and saying, well, they have a different opinion on it than I do.
Thanks.
Let's go to Paul next. Give Ryan.
Thanks, Kenny. I had a different question, but I want to follow up with somewhat of what Carson was asking Ryan. Okay. Ryan, I know when I was growing up, which was, many years ago, but when I was a kid, I just wanted to play baseball. And if I wasn't playing baseball, I wanted to watch baseball. Okay. Yes. What do you think baseball now can do to attract those fans? Because I don't think they're attracting the young kids as well as they possibly can. So in your opinion, what can baseball do? You talked about marketing to get that young fan attracted the way people maybe in my generation grew up watching baseball or enjoying baseball. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very serious issue. I did a study 3, maybe 4 years ago, and it revealed that the average fan buying a ticket to view a baseball game was around 59 years old. And when you have leagues like the NFL that are always going to be massive, you have the NBA increasing in marketability and in just fan interest over more and more over time. I think that baseball is in a serious problematic position, and I think that they really didn't help themselves. I said 3 years ago, I said they're going to go to a work stoppage and it's going to be bad for the sport. So I think that what they have to do now is reach out to the young fans, ages 7, 8, 9. Make them want to play baseball. Show them why baseball is so much, because again, as history person, as someone who has a lot of respect for American culture and Americana and whatnot, I grew up around baseball, and I have, and I will probably always be a major baseball fan. That being said, I can definitely see why someone who hasn't grown up around the game might have a hard time getting drawn into it at the age of 17 or 18. Especially, in our culture, to take kind of a step back. I mean, we're a very, we want it now culture. We're a very, on-demand type culture. And that's just not how baseball is. Baseball doesn't have a clock. Baseball's not, it's a very sort of attrition-based game. So, again, I think that you have to have these players better marketed. So when you have a baseball game on and this kid's watching, they're like, oh, I want to, we've always, you hear about, I want to throw that touchdown pass, or I want to make that reception in the end zone. You got to show them that in baseball, you want to make the diving catch at the fence. You want to be able to, score the game-winning homer. You want to be able to strike out 20 players. I think that's going to start at a much younger age, and you got to, I think, reach out better to people who are in these areas where baseball is not necessarily the most popular sport, like inner cities and such. We got to do more outreach to these individuals who may not have the means to even play the game. But I mean, we've heard the Mariano story. He started with a stick and I think it was a ball of paper or something. We've got to really encourage that and increase that at these levels when these kids are much younger, to keep the game alive and to be able to keep that balance of attention to history and love for its history, while also continuing to keep the game evolving with the way the culture evolves.
Kenny, real quick, Colorado scored on a power play. So this game's wild. It's 3-1 first period.
Jeez.
Wow. Why don't you throw one at Ryan?
Yeah, I got one, and this might be a little early, Ryan, but a team I'm watching are the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, they're 34-29, but now they're in second place, 2.5 behind St. Louis, game and a half behind the wild card. But why they interest me is they're obviously a talented team, but I can see them kind of as a team, if they are, 6 games behind the Cardinals, maybe 4 games out of the wild card. They're a team where if you're going to say they're going to sell, I mean, they got starting pitching. I mean, stud starters, stud relievers. could you see them? I guess one is, could you see them as a seller? And two, if they are sellers, I mean, does that change like who's going to be available? And I mean stars available.
In terms of do I see them as a team that could be sellers? I mean, I'm just looking at where they're positioned right now. Like you said, they're 34-29. That is, I think, the seventh best record in the National League. But a lot of the division that they're in right now, they are 2.5 games out from the St. Louis Cardinals, and nobody behind them is posing any sort of realistic threat right now. They are right up there for a wild card position with the Braves, who will finally come on. As after I was saying for the longest time, they were better than their record, and finally they're showing it. The Padres, the Giants, who always have been sticking around. So I think that they are just going to be too much in the thick of things for them to have a reason to make that type of move. I think that that's more of a move I think that you would make
Off season.
Yeah, exactly. In the off season, if you're looking at guys that you don't think you're going to be able to retain, which again, that's a whole other argument because I believe any team can pretty much retain anybody for the most part.
It's just what are they willing to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they willing?
So,
but let me ask you this, Ryan. If just say they do, would that change like the philosophy and be like, you got studs available? I mean, would that really change the landscape?
One second, Ryan. Of course, I just want to make sure you don't have to go somewhere at 9 o'clock. I know you got a busy stream, and like we're going to probably be like 5 or 10 minutes over.
No, I'm good.
Tonight.
I'm chilling.
Okay, good.
Just making sure.
Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Kurt, do you mind repeating the question, please?
Yeah, just say they do. They're just for some reason they decide to sell.
Yeah.
Now, does that change the landscape of where like you're saying, hey, the Mets need a reliever, the Yankees need a reliever. I mean, you might have one of the best relievers in the market available, starting pitching. Like, does that change who's available? Because they have really good players.
Right.
Does that change?
Well,
does that change the landscape a little?
If they do decide to sell, then I have to imagine that the name that we've been hearing for a while would, the obvious one to look at would be Josh Hader, the reliever. One of the best relief pitchers in baseball. If not, the best. I think that they, like you said, they got multiple good relievers. I think that would be the first place to look. Devin Williams is someone I remember I remember watching on MLB Network and seeing him compared to, or at least his approach to pitching being compared to Justin Verlander several years ago. Brad Boxberger, who has been, he's been, for the most part pretty good since even back to his days in Tampa. And then starting pitching, we talked about this last week with Oakland. Corbin Burns is just someone I don't really see the motivation behind trading, even if you do sell. He's under team control until 2025. So I wouldn't really understand the motivation behind that move if you have any faith in being able to contend over the next 2 to 3 years, which they should. I mean, that's why they paid Lorenzo Cain. That's why they paid Yelich. Other guys that I think that they could potentially look into it, maybe Omar Narvaez, who's going to be 31 years old. But that's the tough thing, is that the veteran players that they really have, the guys who are on the other side of 30, are either guys like Yelich and Kane, who are on much bigger contracts than they would ever get anything for anyway, who, I think has been a great player in his career, but is not having a good season. So I think that most of what they would be able to get is on the pitching side. I think actually, despite the year that their offense is having, I think that you would really struggle to figure out guys that they would make.
Is that me, or is Ryan breaking up with us?
Yeah, we're losing Ryan a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see if Ryan comes back. We'll give Ryan a minute to come back, but I'll do something with you guys. We'll do this rapid fire real quick. I'm going to give
Kenny, can you put your mic on now? Because the mic is off a little.
I'm going to give Sis a Yankee. Is he an all-star, Sis? Is he par, maybe an all-star, or is he going to sit at the bar at the all-star game? I'm going to give you Garrett Cole, 6-1, 3.3 ERA. What's he doing for the All-Star game?
He'll be down Seaside Heights.
He'll be at the bar. Okay, I'm going to give Paul a Met. Francisco Lindor, 245, 9 home runs, 45 RBIs.
He'll be at the game.
He'll be at the All-Star game. Carson, you're getting a Tiger. Miguel Cabrera, towards the end of his career, DH, 289, 3 home runs, 21 RBIs. Will they put him in the All-Star game?
I don't think they will. I think we will get a pitcher, though, Tarek Skubal. He's probably been our ace. I think he's the one that's going to represent us.
Let me give you one more guy for the Tigers since you brought up Skubal. Soto, the closer, 2-3, 1.96 ERA. Do they put him in the All-Star game?
No.
Okay, Kurt, I'm going to give you Shohei Ohtani, Kurt. 260. This is more of a popularity thing, but would you vote him in the All-Star game? 260, 13 home runs, 37 RBIs, 4-4 with almost a 4 ERA.
Listen, I asked Ryan this question last week. I mean, he's still like he was the second choice for MVP or third choice for MVP, which I don't know how with those stats, but you know he's going to be at that game. I mean, he's probably the most popular player in baseball.
We all know he's going to be in there. Would you?
No, I mean, no, he doesn't deserve it this year. No, but I think he's going to be there. The game I got
for us next week. Ryan's coming back in. We'll get his closing thoughts.
Perfect.
It's getting late. We'll get his closing thoughts. We'll keep him on for Bronco Mania to hang around, and we'll do closing thoughts.
All right, good.
Because we're running out of time, but I don't want to leave him in the waiting room.
Okay.
Hey, Ryan, we know we lost you there for a minute. We are running a little overtime, Ryan, so if you want to just hang out with us, we're going to do closing thoughts in a minute, but we have a segment in honor of our good friend Mike Briggs, who tragically passed away last year. So we'll just do a quick little Bronco Mania segment. So we got some quick hitter questions for Kurt, but if you just want to hang out, and we'll do closing thoughts.
Hey, if Ryan wants to think of a Bronco one, he could ask me too.
If you think of something of Broncos, I'll start the ball rolling, Kurt. I'm going to give you real quick.
Yep.
Rapid fire, like you do on All In on High School Sports.
Okay.
Most receiving touchdowns this year.
Cortland Sutton.
Most receiving yards this year.
I'm going to go Cortland Sutton.
I got 3 more. Rushing yards.
Javonte Williams.
Sacks.
Bradley Chubb.
INTs.
I'm going to go Ronald Darby on that.
Okay. I know Sis has a good question for you. We discussed before the show. I said that's a good one for Kurt. Got a Bronco Mania, Kurt?
Yep. Who will you think the Broncos defense will? How do you think the Broncos defense will be this year, and who will be a surprise on your defense this year?
I think you know what. When you look, I'll answer that two quick different ways. I think statistically, like last year, I want to say they were third and they gave up like 18.9 points. Right? They gave up 18.9 points, but their offense they stalled the game, like they wanted to win 17-13. I think their offense is going to be, insanely better than what they were last year. So I think you're going to have a lot of garbage yards. So I think they'll be better in big spots, if that makes, like last year they couldn't get off the field on third down, right? They couldn't get off the field. Anytime they had a lead, they blew the lead. So I think they'll be able to do that better this year, which is going to lead to more wins. But statistically, when you look at it, I think they'll give up more than 18 points just because their offense is going to score more. They'll be giving up garbage points. But when it matters, their defense will be better. You asked me about who I think defensively, I'm going to tell you a guy where, a lot of people is Josie Jewell. Listen, he's an inside linebacker. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the biggest guy, but he makes a difference on that offense, especially first and second down. He's a great run stuffer. He's not the fastest guy, but I'm going to go Josie Jewell, Sis, as that sleeper on the defense.
Carson, you got a Bronco question for Kurt?
Yeah, sure, Kurt. I'll throw one at you. Stacked division, as you know, in the AFC West. What would you say would be your expectation for Russell Wilson this year? Is it a playoff win? Is it winning the division? Is it winning a playoff game? Is it getting to the conference championship? What would be like a successful season to you this year?
I think, honestly, this year, Carson, and, I'm not going to put division, championship, or bust on them, But I think, without a doubt, they have to make the playoffs or it's a complete bust this year. And honestly, I think if they could make the playoffs, win that first round, or either whether they get the 1 seed or they're a wild card team and now only one team gets to bye. But I think it's a very successful season this year if they're playing divisional playoff weekend. If they're playing divisional playoff weekend, so meaning they either get the bye there or they win that wild card round, and then, hey, then it's like all bets are off and let's see what we can do. But I think if they're playing on that second weekend in the NFL playoff, then realistically next year we could start saying, AFC Championship, Super Bowl.
And Paul.
Hey, 80 yards, less than 2 minutes to go. You have to drive down to win the game. Kurt, pick your quarterback, 3 receivers, a tight end, and a running back that they all played together, especially, or at least played with the quarterback. Who would you pick?
Oh, so I can't mix and match?
No, you can't pick. Like, for example, Eli Manning can't pick Mark Bavaro, who's the greatest Giant. So the quarterback has played with all those other players.
All right. Well, no disrespect to Peyton Manning, I love him, but when you go 98 yards in Cleveland in the dog pound in an AFC Championship game, who was better doing that? So I'm going to go Elway. I'm going to take, honestly, pretty much that 97-98 team. I'm going to go Elway, Terrell, Sharp. Then I'll do McCaffrey, Rod Smith, and I'll probably take like Vance Johnson, like early in the days as my third receiver.
Right.
That's what I'll do.
Great offense to go 80 yards.
Hey, Ryan, did you think of a question for Kurt, or we're going to go into closing thoughts?
So it's not really an on-the-field question, but we have heard over the last week or two with the new ownership that's going in there that they're looking at Peyton Manning for a potential position. What do you think he'd be better off in a front office role or in a closer to the field role?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. Somebody like Peyton Manning, I think whatever either they ask him or even probably more important of what he wants. Because let's be honest. I mean, he could probably have almost any job he wants, right? I mean, the TV wants him, whether it's going to be, like you're saying, a GM or, honestly, I think if he could do some kind of like a hybrid where, he is a little front office, like he's not the GM, so he's not the everyday GM, but just like you said, I mean, look at that resource you have on the field. He's not going to be a coach, he's not going to be a coordinator, but listen, he works, right? You show with videos, you see him doing film with Russell Wilson, right? So somehow like a hybrid where, hey, imagine, okay, I need somebody to talk to a free agent we want to sign. I mean, Peyton Manning's going to talk to you, that's pretty damn good, right? I mean, I love George Payton, but if I could have Peyton Manning also like try to convince me to come to Denver. So I don't know if they could do it, but again, something to where, he's not, right now. I mean, I think George Payton's done a great job. He's earned that respect that he's the quote unquote GM. But again, like Peyton Manning in that background, if I can do a hybrid there, but eventually I could see him definitely doing front office without a doubt.
Hey, Kurt, I don't think anybody
like Peyton Manning a little bit.
Just a little bit on screen.
Well, who?
You look like Peyton Manning a little bit.
Yeah? Oh, thank you. Maybe the forehead. I'm losing the hair.
Yeah, the forehead. I didn't want to say it on the air, but since you said it,
that's it.
Omaha. Say it's Omaha, and it'll be good to go.
That's it.
Thanks, guys. Anything else, Bronco Mania? Kurt, you want to add?
No, that's it. Again, we do this. Segment every week, obviously because of our great friend Briggsy, and that's it. It's a nice
good job, guys. I like everybody involved in Bronco Mania. It makes it a lot more fun for Kurt. Closing thoughts, Kurt. You run it. You run it.
All right, let's start with Paul. Closing thoughts.
Great show again. Always great to talk sports with everyone. Love the guests, Joey, Ryan, and looking forward to the games tonight and tomorrow especially. And let's go.
Sis, closing thoughts.
Yeah, looking forward to the games tonight and tomorrow. And everybody have a good night.
Mr. Carson.
Yeah, shout out to special guests Ryan and Joey Clams for joining us. And yeah, enjoy the weekend. Got a big week in the NBA next week at the NBA draft. So looking forward to chatting with you guys then. And yeah, enjoy the weekend.
Carson, I'm just going to say this right now. I love you to death, but if your Pistons, if Ivy drops past 4 and your Pistons draft him at 5, I'm going to be livid. So
yeah, I'm going to be upset for sure.
Livid if that happens.
Yeah.
wait, Carson, you're a Pistons fan?
Pistons fan, yeah.
Someone that so I was a manager for a varsity basketball team for 2 years in my hometown, and our star player now plays for the Pistons.
Oh, does he? What's his name?
Isaiah Stewart.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
sweet. Nice.
Yeah, the one that got up on LeBron last year, and
that was crazy. Yeah.
I go on Twitter. I'm like, why is Isaiah Stewart trending? There's no way it's the same guy. And I look at and I see what happened. I'm like, holy,
Did he go to Washington?
Yeah.
He went to Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Carson, go ahead. Give us your Ryan. Give us your first final thoughts.
Hold on, Carson. Where can we find you? Too?
Oh yeah, sorry, Ryan.
Got to get that out. And Carson, when we come back, we need your information so we can put it on the show, a little graphic, so everybody.
Oh
can
yeah, I
follow
gotta get that to you guys. Yeah, for sure.
Got a month. You
Yeah.
got a month to do it, so we'll get on that.
Yeah, if you guys like gambling casino content, you can find me on my live streams on Twitch. Just search up Ticket Time. You'll find me over there. If you want to catch the highlight videos, we do highlight videos on Wednesdays and Fridays on YouTube. Search up Ticket Time, and you'll find me over there as well.
Absolutely. Good
Ryan,
times.
final thoughts.
As a Flyers fan, I want to welcome Coach John Tortorella to Philadelphia. He's going to have his work cut out for him. But I was very excited about that hire once Barry Trotz inevitably declined the offer to become the new head coach. And for my Giants fans in here, I came prepared. Fly, Eagles, fly always.
Typical Eagle fan bragging.
Yeah, really. I'm telling you.
But I greatly appreciate the conversation as always, and I look forward to seeing how the next week goes and being back here in a week to talk about whatever's happened.
Sounds good.
I wish. It's too bad you're not a Phillies fan as well as a Flyer and an Eagles fan.
Yeah, no. Trying to explain my favorite teams to people, like they're like, you make no sense. Like it's not geographical on either side. And I'm like, no, but at least I have like an explanation for each of them. It's completely disconnected from geography whatsoever.
Another breaking news, Kenny. Before I go, breaking news in the NBA world: the Houston Rockets are trading Christian Wood to Dallas for the 26th pick. Boban, I don't even know how to say his Moranovic. Trey Burke and Marquise Chris. So Christian Wood now goes to Dallas.
Wow.
So big move. All right, like you guys said, I'm looking forward to watch the second and third period in this Stanley Cup final. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on. Thank you, Joey Clams. Again, everybody else on this panel, awesome. And I'm pumped for this, Kenny. We got to get Paul. We got to do something, man. We got to do something. So I'm excited for the next 2 weeks.
Oh.
There he's back. You got cut off there when you were talking about the Knicks.
Okay. I just said we got to do something this year. So I'm excited for the draft and free agency. Kenny.
Yeah, I'll be short and sweet. Thank you guys. Like you all said, Ryan, Joey Clams, Kurt, Paul, Carson, Sis. Always a pleasure to talk sports with you guys each week. Looking forward to the game 6 tomorrow. I'll end it with this. I want to see a buzzer beater. Let's get that buzzer beater and hopefully a game 7 because there's nothing like game 7s in professional sports.
All right, boys. Have a good